Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Wow. Low unemployment, high jobs, high wages, big consumer confidence, major productivity, and no inflation. It's totally awesome. We're killing it on the economy.
Larry Kudlow right there. That right there. You don't have to be such a Richard about it. Jeez. It is hilarious. The economy, I'm telling you guys, Trump's biggest foe, and I don't want to harp on it, but I'll continue to do so because we only have 9,000 days till the election. Trump's biggest foe is the economy. And I know people say, well, Chad, with these kind of numbers, he should just be absolutely crushing it. There's no way he should be down here in these kind of low numbers. This should be the place where he should be sitting back and relaxing, enjoying massive numbers.
With these numbers on the economy and the general situation in the country and the world, this president ought to have an approval rating in the high 50s or low 60s, and he can't get out of the 40s on his approval rating. The reason is that he does this stuff all the time and says this stuff all the time and acts in such a way to offend people. And the truth is, it shouldn't or wouldn't be that hard for him to stop doing that stuff, but he can't.
Okay, let's just say, all right, and I hear this crap all the time. Well, if Trump stopped today, tweeting inflammatory things, tweeting things about the Democrats, tweeting things about the people in the media, tweeting things about the people who have constantly gone after Trump. If he stopped that today, does any one of those people like him? No. We don't live in a world anymore of 60, 70% approval rating. We don't live in that world. We live in a world where we can go, yeah, I'm going to give you an A for that, but I'm going to give you an F for this. Right? I'm going to give you an A for the handling of the economy, but I'm going to give you an F overall because I hate you. I hate everything you stand for. I hate everything. You're a person of privilege. You're a lying billionaire. You are a horrible human being who cheats on his wife, who treats people horribly. You're a racist. I hate you for that. I don't care that the economy's doing well. I hate you for that. But then I always tell everybody, we wander in to that booth and we say, I can't stand who he is. I hate the twittering. I hate the incessant lies. I hate the attack on the media. I hate the way he's just continues to belittle people. I hate the way he says things to people. I just hate all of these things. I do, but that economy has been good for me. Click. There it is. His biggest foe will be the economy, and his biggest friend will be the economy. It's just that simple. We could play the game all day, but in the end, we now are in a situation where we're so tribal that we're never going to get back to that point. When the economy picked up under Obama, did it take off like it should have? No. Was some of that self-inflicted? Absolutely. But even when things were good and people were getting back to some normalcy after the massive crash that we had, people on the right still couldn't stand Obama, right? That's the reality of it. And even if we went to 10% growth a quarter and things would have been rocking and rolling in peace, there were always people on the right who were not going to like him. It's the same thing. The difference is we're super vocal about it now. So, yes, I don't like a lot of the things that Trump does, but in the end, in the absolute end of it all, even if he gave up every one of those and tried to turn a new leaf and became a pal and a friend and was just a, oh, shucks kind of guy, he is never going to win back those people because they hate him. So why would you abandon your base with a thing? You dance with what brought you, and what brought you was being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs at times, screaming things that are outrageous, being louder and more just in your face than anybody in the history, and charge up your base, because it's at the point of, if the economy's good, it's getting your base to show up more than their base wants to show up. And what's going to get you there? In fact, I say this, but I will. If today he turned over a new leaf, if today he went and he changed, right? He changed to, I'm going to be a swell guy. I'm going to be a nice guy. I'm going to be a caring guy. I'm going to be a PC guy. If he did that, I'd say his base would eat him alive. They don't want that. It's not what got him there. But the economy is the thing that matters to that 10 to 20% of the people who have yet to decide and will yet to decide until that very last moment. That economy right there is the thing that they're going to be looking at more so than anything else, more so than whether you're a great guy, more so than whether you're an amazing individual, more so than whether you're caring and loving and all of these kind of things. That economy will play a much bigger play in their mind than anything else.
As you may have heard, the economy is doing great. As President Trump likes to reiterate, there are jobs, jobs, jobs. And he's not wrong. Unemployment is at a 50-year low at 3.6%. It's the lowest unemployment rate since 1969. And unemployment has been at or under 4% for over a year. So the president should be happy about these numbers. But not just because they show a good economy. They may also be his best hope for re-election.
Yeah. But that's any president, by the way, for those of you not keeping score. Any president. You could be the sweetest, nicest, most incredible person on earth. You can do all these amazing, wonderful things. But if your economy is in the dumper, so is your chances of winning re-election. That's the reality. I know people don't want to hear that. No, but he's not a nice guy. Who cares? I don't know. Do you? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So over the weekend, we had controversy. And dare I say, for horse racing, it's the greatest thing in the world, no matter what they say. It started out as a sloppy race. They were running in the mud. It was a mudder's race.
And they're into the stretch. Country House on the outside. Code of Honor down toward the rail. Maximum Security keeps on fighting. War of Will is there, too, as they come to the final furlong. It is Country House on the outside. Maximum Security, so dead game. He keeps battling on. Maximum Security. Country House 1-2 down to the line. Maximum Security wins the Kentucky Derby. And then it was Country House second, followed by Code of Honor third.
Oh, so there was the excitement of it all, right? So Maximum Security was one of the favorites. And since Omaha Beach was the other horse that was scratched that everybody thought was the favorite, it was Maximum Security, and a lot of people thought this horse has a chance at a Triple Crown. But something happened. There was a complaint filed. I object! What happened? Well, apparently, when they came around that final stretch, that little stretch there, he kind of wandered off a little bit, pushing the horse and getting into his running path, and in doing so, caused the other horse to slow down. They filed a complaint, and in doing so, well,
they disqualified him.
They did. So for the first time in the history of the Kentucky Derby, the horse that crossed the line first has been disqualified. After the objection, Country House wins the Kentucky Derby with Flavian Pratt at 65-1.
Yeah, that's huge. 65-1. I think it was the second longest odds in history. It's not the first time that a horse has been DQ'd, but this is the first time it's happened on the track. There was a horse, I think, in 1968 was DQ'd because when they did the blood test, they found out it had stuff in there it shouldn't, like steroids, like horse steroids. So I watched this thing over and over again, and I thought to myself, I don't care what they say. This is great for them. This is huge.
It's kind of a black eye on horse racing that the spotlight has something like this happen, and it's just accentuated when the favorite, one of the best horses in the field, if not the best, would have made 7 straight years with a favorite winning this race. Instead, it's this giant long shot, and it's the second biggest payout in Kentucky Derby history.
Black eye? I don't think so. People are talking about this today. People are asking me about this. They have known nothing about horse racing. They could care less, but they just thought it was interesting. And the thing that they said essentially was he got into the lane of the other horse, and it came close to being a trip. Everybody said it was close to being a trip. And they said had they clipped and they all fell over, there would have been a bloodbath, meaning there would have been several horses that would have been probably put down on the track, That is not what you want with your premier event, to have several horses die on the track. Now, will this be the final thing? Because there is a thought that the guy who owns the horse may take it to court, maximum security. But I think this, if you are, it used to be literally the sport of kings, and it still is. But it used to be it, right? Like around the turn of, not this past, the century before, like the 1900s. This was the kind of thing that was the biggest thing in sports. It wasn't Major League Baseball. It was this, the Kentucky Derby. This is great. Love every second of this. Take it, right? Take it. Go for it. Enjoy it. This should be great. Controversy is not the worst thing in the world, and for something where nobody pays attention to it, enjoy the controversy. Enjoy the controversy. It's that simple. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Guess what, kids?
I don't know myself. I had a baby boy early this morning. A very healthy boy. Mother and baby are doing incredibly well.
Mother and baby are doing incredibly well. It's a baby boy. It was born to Meghan Markle is born. All over TV today. It was just everywhere. And I thought to myself, does America? Yeah, but we do. We don't have royals, so it's interesting to us. Like the Kennedys were the closest thing we had to royals, because it was Camelot, the whole 9 yards. We don't have this, so it's interesting to us that there is this, baby boy was born. He was born. A baby boy that will never be king. Ever. Never, ever be king.
Will the firstborn have a title? That's up to the Queen. Harry and Meghan may also decide they don't want their child to have any title. So we'll have to watch that space. As to a name, that's usually announced a few days down the road.
I'm going to go with, it's a boy. I've already got a George. Harry. I don't know. That's interesting. What's very royally? Henry? That's one, right? The money's out there right now. But it's just so funny. But watching it here, it was just people like, because they knew, a lot of people here knew that I lived in England. They said, what's it like when there's a baby? Well, so when I was there, we didn't really have any kids that were born, right? Of note, not like this. So, but it's born today. A royal. Meghan Markle is the mummy. Meghan Markle. Oh, she's so hot. Can I just say that? I know it's wrong to think that, but she's hot. Just saying that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hey, ButcherBox is amazing. It's incredible. I had ButcherBox over the weekend. You can do the same thing. Best beef in the world. Best cuts. Best chicken. Best pork. Best of the best of the best. It's the cuts. It's the quality. It's what they do and how they take care of their animals that make everything completely different. There's 20 different cuts of meat, no antibiotics, no hormones ever, customizable boxes, all kinds of different options you can choose from. And it's totally affordable and it's delivered right to you. Less than $6 a meal. And right now, for my listeners, that's you guys, you can get the ultimate the ultimate barbecue bundle. Now, barbecue ribs are incredible. I want you to understand that. And the way you cook them is amazing. Right. If you do it right, there is nothing better. I don't care. As much as I love all of the other stuff, when you do this right, you're going to be like, you hit it out of the house. This is how you do it. The ultimate barbecue bundle right now from ButcherBox. 2 New York strip steaks, baby back ribs, 2 pounds of ground beef, and $20 off. Get yours now at butcherbox.com/Chad. 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 It's the Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
I would love to give them, but I'm not going to do it while I'm under audit. It's very simple. Remember, I got elected last time, the same exact issue, with the same intensity, which wasn't very much, because frankly, the people don't care.
You know what? Am I supposed to care? I'm sitting here and CNN comes on, breaking news, Mnuchin, and everybody says, nah, we're not going to comply. Oh, my God. People are freaking out. There's like a 12-panel person on CNN about whether or not this is going to mean something. And I'm thinking to myself, you're at work today. Do you think it's another one of those days Trump didn't turn in that thing he was supposed to turn in, and now his people aren't going to be there? This is important. Really? Nah, not really. On the scale of care, with 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, I'm at a negative 10 because I don't care. Well, Chad, you should care. Why should I care? Because we'll be able to see all the loans that he got. Which taxes do you want? Do you want his business taxes? Do you want his personal taxes? I'm just curious about which taxes we're going to be looking at. Just get over it, for God's sakes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us each and every day at this time. We like to make it cool, hip on the streets. We call this our urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
I heard this one today. Shoot me the straight. I'm like, what? Shoot you the straight. Kids were talking about the youths of America. Yeah, it means give it to me like we used to say. Just give it to me straight. Shoot me the straight now. So shoot me isn't actually shooting me with a gun. It's tell it to me like it is. Shoot me the straight is your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
Some of you texting in about the whole thing with the horse racing and the Derby call, and now that the guy's filing an appeal and it's going to go to court, which is exactly how we love our sporting events to go. I'm telling you guys, though, controversy is so much better. Look at the macro, not the micro. If you're the horse owner, you're pissed, right? But on the macro, if you're the horse community who wants to get people involved, and the only time we hear about horse racing anymore is when animals die at Santa Anita, the reality is it's probably better that you got a little controversy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Touch on that. Talk a little Facebook ban. Very interesting. Also, Iran. And what are we doing over there? And Cory Booker. Always fun. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It's been nearly 1 year since President Trump withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal, and just yesterday the administration announced they're sending an aircraft carrier to the Middle East after there's indications Iran planned an attack on U.S. forces. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo today explaining.
We have continued to see activity that leads us to believe that there's escalation that may be taking place. And so we're taking all the appropriate actions.
He added that the Trump administration is happy at the right time to engage in new negotiations.
Yes, and apparently what, quote-unquote, came to our attention was specific details about things. Because if you don't know what Iran does, they're very sneaky in sponsoring wars and getting involved in places quietly by sponsoring things and having their little fingertips. I'm not talking about the average person in Iran. I'm talking about the evil that is Iran, whether they're sponsoring Hezbollah or several other groups around the globe to fight in situations like Syria and other places. So we heard some people say the Israelis said, hey, we've got specific worries about what Iran may be trying to do, some of which is targeted directly at you, America. So just thought we'd let you know, and then you can do what you want to do. And America said, thanks so much. We appreciate that, because we got kind of Italian voice when we're talking to them. And so we sent over the USS Abraham Lincoln and a few other things. We're just going to cruise out here. We're just going to hang out, see what's going on, just see if anybody's got feeling a little bit jumpy, wants to make like a frog and leap, and we'll go from there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show Here's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Cory Booker out there. Spartacus. Having a little fun, right? Trying to raise his profile. Wants to be on that first debate stage with the opportunity for him to really start to make some moves. Because right now, I see it's a Biden's kind of running away, right? Leaving the pack behind, even though he's early into it. And I still don't know what his longevity is, right? You know? Then you got Bernie, he's just slow and steady, just doing his thing, right? Then you got Mayor Pete, who seems to have cooled off. Then you've got the rest of them, right? I think Kamala Harris would probably be there with just Mayor Pete-ish and probably Beto, and then everybody else falls off. So there's what Cory Booker is. He's trying to make his stand when it comes to the economy. He's looking elsewhere and saying, all right, we got an idea. Gun. He's taking everybody on when it comes to guns.
Why is licensing guns the solution?
Works in states like Connecticut that have done it. They have seen 40% drops in gun violence, 15% drops in suicide rates. Every day in America, we have, in the aggregate, a mass shooting. In my lifetime, more people being killed by gun violence in every single war in our country's history from the Revolutionary War now combined. We must step up and deal with something that is crushing communities, destroying lives, and really just tearing apart families.
Okay, so he wants full gun registry, and he says, oh, it's working here. It's absolutely working in Connecticut. If we do that, it's going to be great, and it's going to be awesome, and we're going to see all this stuff happen. And he said, hey, that's part of it. Now, some people are saying, well, wait a minute here. There's a few other things that have gone into why we've seen a drop in crime in Connecticut, and it's not what you're thinking of. But if you can point to a specific thing and get it on your side, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you know, and here's the other thing. How many people actually challenge people? Because I have news for you. If you're committing, let's say there's a 20% drop in suicide by gun, but there's no drop in suicide in Connecticut. We're not figuring out why people committed suicide. We're just taking away one method of killing yourself. But he's not finished, kids. No.
You license guns, you make it more difficult for the honorable gun owner to engage in their Second Amendment right, and the people who want to get guns and shoot each other in the street are going to do it anyway because no one enforces the law.
That kind of resignation frustrates me, to be honest, because we know that this is not a plan that any law-abiding gun owner should be concerned about. The people that should be concerned about it are two groups. One, people who want to break the law, gun runners and criminals, and the gun manufacturers who have been working in an ungodly way to undermine the safety and security of this nation.
Why are gun manufacturers and gun runners? Of course, gun manufacturers, because it was up to you, and not all Democrats. The majority of Democrats support the Second Amendment, and some of them want common sense, gun reform and stuff, but they don't want what potentially could happen, because we all know in the world that we live in, you give an inch in politics, they take a yard. Right? They're going to take a yard. You give an inch, they take a yard. And that's the worrisome there. Gun runners should be worried. They're not worried. They should be worried now whether there is or isn't a registry. Well, criminals should be worried. They're not worried either because they're not going, we better register our gun. I mean, I know he stole it, but we should totally That's like stealing a car and then registering it in your name. Where'd you get it? I stole it, but I want to make sure I get insurance and everything. The dumbest thing. Who ends up usually being the people that worry about it? Law-abiding gun people. And somebody tweeted at me earlier, well, why should law-abiding people care? Because first of all, I go through all of it. It doesn't matter who it is, right? You go through everything, right? You fill out all the necessary paperwork. You take the test where they need you to take the test. You wait. You get everything done. They do the background check. Then you get your gun. Why is it now I have to go register and take an extra step? Why am I the one who always has to go and do something? And why are you always wanting to know what's going on in my world? That's frustrating for a lot of people.
I'm going to be a president that this is not thoughts and prayers. Faith without works is dead. I'm going to bring a fight to this issue in a comprehensive manner like the NRA has never seen before. There's an urgency in my life that a lot of Americans are feeling who are afraid to go to their houses of worship, afraid to let their kids go to school. There's an urgency that I feel on this issue that is very personal to me, having witnessed the consequences of our inaction. And we are going to fight and we are going to win.
By the way, he's not going to be president. I know he thinks he's Spartacus and somehow he's going to this is it, right? he's just going to boom. It's just not happening for you. It's not. It's not going to happen for you, Corey. But the whole thought process of like, I get it. I get why people get frustrated on both sides. I can see both sides of the argument. I absolutely can. We need common sense immigration and gun reform. Okay, what exactly does that look like? Well, we don't want you to have this. We don't want you to have that. Okay, let's sit down. What does it really look like, and where does it end? Because we all know when government gets involved, rarely does it end where they say it's going to end. And the next thing you know, the people that are paying the price for it are people that have done everything correctly, people that have done everything legally, and they're the ones paying the price for it. And there's a frustration there that we should all worry about. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Do love hearing from you. This was interesting, and the reason it was interesting is because nobody talked about it. Nobody talked about it. I had to search high and low. There's high and there's low to find anybody talking about this. Philadelphia, in America, you have a place that is a mosque that puts on a performance, and in the performance you've got children saying things that, quite frankly, are beyond disturbing. And yet, the thing that disturbed me most is, do I think these things go on? I think there are places where these things absolutely go on. The problem is, the thing that I found most disturbing is nobody wanted to talk about it. It was like that weird thing where we're just not going to talk about it. We hope it goes away. We hope nobody picks it up. And if we have to, but we'll spin it in a much different way and we'll blame it on President Trump. But it was disturbing.
Well, here's an amazing story for you. The Muslim American Society is investigating an oversight after a shocking video surfaces showing children in Philadelphia at an Islamic center chanting violent phrases. Clearly, the one little girl saying, "We will chop off their heads." I mean, but is this oversight? I mean, you look at the age of the children involved in this video, their young age. I mean, what could you call this if you don't call it indoctrination?
Well, yeah, it's definitely indoctrination, but it's just the fact that nobody talked about it. I want you guys to picture a big mega church, right? Whoever the mega church is, or even a small little church in your community, right? You know, the Methodist, the Baptist, the non-denominational church, you know, with the cool preacher who's down the street, right? Like, you know, wears the cool short sleeve button up shirts, maybe has a few tattoos, wears Vans on stage, right? Brings up, hey, the next we're bringing up is our little thing, and it's going to be awesome. And little kids come up on stage, and then they sing songs of killing Muslims or Jews or whatever. That would be disturbing, and it would be all over the news. The fact that very few people even talked about this, I found that to be disturbing. Look, this isn't Islam, and I'm get pushed back from the people on the left will be mad, and they'll send me text messages. How dare you say that? That stuff's going on all over the place. Little kids are out there singing. You know, like, shut up. On the other side of things, this isn't Islam. This is indoctrination and a hijacking of something to read into it so they can carry out the most violent things for the reason of absolute control. No different than the communist or any of the things I mean, that's the reality of it. And it's frustrating that nobody will cover this, because that's the political correct side of this, is nobody wants to be involved in covering something like this because, that's going to make people uncomfortable and cause more xenophobia. But we could spin it that this is all Trump's fault. And the place itself said, well, hold on a second.
Oversight and not properly vetted. What do you think about this?
To be fair, the Muslim American Society has made a statement that they had rented out space to another group. It wasn't representative of the society, and now they're looking into who the decision makers were, and they are even firing the chapter leaders. So I think this has come as a shock to them. Mm-hmm. But to me, as a Muslim in America, this is devastating, and this is exactly the kind of indoctrination of children that promotes and leads to the success of Islamist movements like Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've said that, look, we dealt with it. We didn't know. Well, you should have known. And you probably knew who was renting the space, even though maybe it's just, it's wrong to have little kids doing that. And the second thing is it's wrong not to at least somewhat cover it. And it wasn't until Philly.com actually took a look at this. I was like, I didn't believe it. I'm like, there's no way. There's got to be some crazy wackiness. There's no way this is. And sure enough, it was real. And the fact that people in the media world, minus a few places, were willing to cover this shows you how weird and wacky and politically correct and virtue signaling that people are. It's ridiculous. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That there be your Twitter. You can always tweet at us. Do love hearing from every single person. Oh, man, I tell you what. Avengers, killing it. Teacher deciding, hey, you guys like Avengers? Well, I've got some news for you. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
I keep telling everybody they should move on.
Moviegoers clearly not yet ready to move on from Avengers Endgame. It easily stayed on top, earning another $145.8 million domestically its second weekend. When all the tickets are counted, that might even beat or tie the second weekend record set by 2015's Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Whatever it takes.
Endgame also beat Titanic to become the second highest grossing film ever worldwide, $2.18 billion in just 11 days, now trailing only Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar. It's going to beat Avatar, not adjusted for inflation, but it's going to beat. I think Avatar's $2.738 million. That was 2009, and the question has emerged by a lot of people are saying, why is it taking so long? Because they're going to shoot 2, 3, and 4. In fact, they're shooting those right now. Number 2, Avatar will be out next year, and the reason is, and it's very interesting. If you know anything about James Cameron, he goes super deep in everything, and a lot of what they're going to be doing in this new Avatar is below the water. And as he always points out, is I don't have the technology. I have to build the technology. He did that with Avatar. He literally built all of the cameras and the technology you saw in that movie. So he's so far ahead of the game. Even when you watch Avatar, you're like, damn, and that's 2009. Look how far we've come. Yeah, he's so far ahead of the game. So he's had to build cameras and build technology and design systems to handle all of it for what he's doing. That's why it's taken so long. But they think it's going to cost about $1 billion to $1.5 billion to shoot all of those movies at once. That's insane. That is so insane. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every one of you. Oh, he's gone to jail. Jail? And it is funny that Michael Cohen has gone to jail. I just laugh because he said this.
There still remains much to be told. And I look forward to the day that I can share the truth.
You've got nothing. You've got nothing. Just understand that you have nothing. Like, if you had anything worth a damn, you would have rolled it out there. But you have nothing. There is nothing that you're going to offer anybody. There is no more get-out-of-jail-free cards. There is none of that stuff because, well, quite frankly, you thought you had it, but you had nothing of importance. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nada. So it's just funny. He's going to Otisville, which it's not really a dangerous prison. It's not club fed the way that we always joke about, like you're playing golf and croquet and riding back, horses. But it is one of the 10 cushiest prisons. That's what Forbes says in the country. You get a job. First thing you do is you get mental health screening and a physical, and then you get a job. They'll tell you, okay, you're going to be doing, washing cars or mowing lawns, and then you go out and do that, and you have free time to work out, outside or to do, like if you want to work out or if you're just hanging out with your free time during the day. And they even say that it's Jewish heaven. It's one of the jokes there that, they have kosher stuff and specific things to meet the needs. So it's not like he's not breaking rocks in the hot sun. He's not doing that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Also today,
an extraordinary athlete who has transformed golf and achieved new levels of dominance. He's also a great person. He's a great guy.
Yeah, Tiger Woods, Medal of Super American Super Awesome Freedom, highest honor they can bestow a civilian. So he got that. And on top of being a great guy, he could crush it with the ladies. Wouldn't that be great? It's like, what up? Oh, my Lord. It's nuts. It's funny because Tiger sees Lexi Thompson golfs with the president a couple weeks ago and Rush Limbaugh, and she has to shut down all of her social media. He's getting the presidential award. He golfs with the president, and it just shows you he's like, I don't care what you think of me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Check out thechadshow.com. Grab your podcast there. It's The Chad Benson Show.
This is The Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
With these numbers on the economy and the general situation in the country and the world, this president ought to have an approval rating in the high 50s or low 60s. And he can't get out of the 40s on his approval rating. And the reason is that he does this stuff all the time and says this stuff all the time and acts in such a way to offend people. And the truth is, it shouldn't or wouldn't be that hard for him to stop doing that stuff. But he can't.
He just can't. Brit Hume right there. No, he can't. And even if he could, does it matter? So many people I hear say, oh, Trump needs to give up tweeting. And I think at times it is a, look, here's the way you got to look at this, right? I want you to just look at it from a totally different perspective of hate Trump, love Hump. Just stay away from that and just think about this for a second. He's built this based on him being him. The people on the left do not like him. Any change of the way that he does anything whatsoever is not going to change how they look at him. Just like on the right, when Obama was president, no matter what Obama did, it did not change anything about how people on the right felt about it. We are so tribal that 35 to 45% of people are entrenched in their areas and they're living there, and this is their tribal world that they live in, and they're not going anywhere and they're not going to abandon it. Then there's some that you hang on the periphery, can speak to both sides, and those are the ones you have to appeal to. So any trying of changing who he is would, I think at this point, be fruitless, and I think it would be disingenuous. I think Trump speaks his mind, and that's what got him here. If he was to try to become a little softer, people would find it disingenuous on the left, and the people on the right would get mad at him because that's not what brought him here. So you dance with what brought you. And the reality is he's just not going to do it. He's just not going to do it. Now, do I wish at times that he would stop for a second and think, maybe I should tweet about the economy and how good it's doing and not about this and calling somebody a name, but we all know that he's going to resort to that rather than the other, which is the frustration I have. It's not how many times he tweets. It's a lot of times you take away and shoot yourself in the foot when you should be bragging about this all day, every day.
The only time I can remember his actually doing that was in the closing weeks of the campaign in 2016, when he stopped on Twitter, basically, and disciplined himself and campaigned in all the right places and won the election. But most of the time, he seems to go out of his way to try to make people crazy. Take a look at it. All you have to do is stop that, and he'd be immeasurably better off. Can he do it? I have my doubts.
No, I don't think he would be immeasurably better off. Who? The people that are independent thinkers take everything he says and everything most politicians say with a grain of salt, right? They do. And for me, I'm about action. What does the action look like? What are you doing action-wise is the most important thing. Are you trying to solve a problem, or are you just talking about it to continue to put your name out there, but really not trying to get to the bottom of anything and try to find some solutions to these? You can talk all day. You can tweet all day. You can lie all day. But what are your actions? That's a bigger thing to me. And I think most people who have a nice understanding of the world say, you know what, I'm kind of like, I'm an action person, and let's just see what your actions are going to be. But placating the other side is only going to lose your base and do nothing for the other side of it. They're never going to like you. Ever. If you have an R by your name, even if you're the most placating, nice person in the world, they're never going to like you. They see you as a xenophobe, as a racist, as a hate-filled, masculine, woman-hating individual. Even if you are a woman, you're a self-hating Republican woman. It doesn't matter. There's a majority of people over there, especially as it gets more progressive, not all of them, that are that way. It's the same thing on the right. Maybe not to that extent, because I think there's that middle Democratic Party is okay, but telling you. So why would he change? Why would he change? He's not. He's got no reason to. Just keep doing what you're doing, and while the economy stays good, and that's a big if, you'll keep getting what you're getting.
As you may have heard, the economy is doing great. As President Trump likes to reiterate, there are jobs, jobs, jobs. And he's not wrong. Unemployment is at a 50-year low at 3.6%. It's the lowest unemployment rate since 1969. And unemployment has been at or under 4% for over a year. So the president should be happy about these numbers. But not just because they show a good economy. They may also be his best hope for re-election.
Yeah, but that's any president. Any president out there, this is your best hope for re-election. You can hit all of the great things. We could have a little bit of peace, right? Right? We could have great peace. We could be admired for our democracy and our political correctness and our love and happiness here. But if the economy is in the tank, you're going to be on your way out. You could be all the things. Oh, if only we were respected more and people loved us and people liked us. And if only we were just nicer and kinder and you could just bring the world together. We could all hold hands and kumbaya. But then you go to your bank account and you're $50 overdrawn and you got laid off from your job. And everybody that you know is struggling in the same situation that you are with no prospects whatsoever. And unemployment sitting at 12, 13, 14%. I've got news for you. Kumbaya, bye-bye.
So what gets the president from 39 to 46? Now, to repeat the president's favorite line, jobs, jobs, jobs. When asked about the president's handling of the economy, a majority, 51%, say they approve of his job performance, 5 points higher than his overall job rating. And that means he could be in trouble if the economy were to slump.
But if it doesn't, if the economy is where it is, he's going to win because we are slow to change something that's working. Why would you break something if in your mind it's not broken? Well, we need to break this to fix it because we think we might be able to do it better, even though the other side's saying what they're going to do is give away all the things we possibly can and tax the hell out of you to do it. That doesn't seem like something I want to be a part of. And I can't stand who he is, and I can't stand the way he goes. And in public, I'll probably say, I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I'm not voting for Trump. When I get in there, I'm going to go, ding, Trump.
If we are a year from right now in exactly the same spot economically where we are today, I don't think the Democrats have hope. I think that, in the end, that's the way people vote in these elections.
He's a mouth breather. I like Chris Christie. And I'm not saying he's a mouth breather because he's an idiot. He's a bigger dude, and I know he's got a CPAP machine. Is that wrong? I felt wrong. Chad, you're a jerk. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. We're going with the name Henry, even though it hasn't been announced. But if you haven't heard...
It was amazing. Absolutely incredible. And as I said, I'm so incredibly proud of my wife. And as every father and parent would ever say, you know, your baby is absolutely amazing, but this little thing is absolutely to die for. So I'm just over the moon.
That right there is Prince Harry, as Meghan Markle gave birth today to a bouncing baby boy. Now, will it be given a title? That remains to be seen. That's up to the Queen. But I also think in other ways, it's also up to the parents here because they're a little bit different. Harry's not pomp and circumstance. Meghan Markle is, I said earlier, I would not be surprised if at some point in time they want to come over here. I don't know when that is, but I wouldn't be surprised about that. And now think about this, America. We have our own baby royal because that baby will have the opportunity to be an American citizen as well as a British citizen. So, yeah, we got our own baby royal. Didn't even think about that. So think about that. Now, I'm going with Henry. Call him Hank. Duke Hank. What's up, bro? Duke Hank. I like that one. People were so... It was leading... Baby Watch was leading, like, real newscast today. I was like, that's a bit weird. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Immigration's another one of those interesting things. Trump has taken it head on. And I find this to be interesting. They talked to a bunch of D.C. residents on the street, if you will, to talk about the wall and immigration.
I will build a great, great wall.
I'm completely against the wall. I think it's ridiculous.
Absolutely very bad idea.
I think the border wall was just for the drugs, to be honest, to stop the drugs from coming over.
The wall is a wall that Trump envisions? No.
I think it's incredibly unfair, and it's going to limit opportunities for our country in the future.
Now, I don't know how that limits opportunities for us. As long as we're still America, people will still come here. People still want to come here. People will try to do everything to get over and around that wall. But it's funny when you listen to people because they put people on the spot because they have somewhat of an opinion, but then you ask them real questions.
The best way to handle illegal immigration is really enforcing the rules that we already have.
The best thing to do would be to overhaul the laws of the United States on immigration.
Well, first of all, I'll allow asylums, first of all, okay? That's one. But I think it's a good structure that we have.
I don't agree with illegal immigration. I believe everybody should live freely. Everybody should be able to have a happy life. You know, stopping them from coming over here is kind of ruining their chances of having a better future than me.
Yeah, what if they came to your house, your neighborhood, and they took away your jobs? And they took away your services or made your services tougher to get and put pressure on them? It's always an experience thing, right? If you and I've said this all along, it's people in Southern California, Northern California, Phoenix, here where I'm at, and, into New Mexico and to Texas and places like that, because we're border states, when you deal with it in a way where you see the pressures that are put on, you see what's going on. Having been down to Yuma just 3 weeks ago, I don't think people really get it. If you're a place where it's we've got a little bit of it here and a little bit of it there, it's not the same thing. It isn't. Enforcing the laws is absolutely one. And it's funny because I always hear, well, I think if we enforce the laws. Yeah, but if we enforce the laws, all the things that you're screaming about, you'd be upset with because they would say, all right, well, these people have to go. Well, we should allow asylum. Everybody who gets to come here gets asylum. That's the secret code word. No. That's just, that is ridiculous.
You guys are totally in favor of open borders, like no restriction to immigration at all.
Yeah.
So do you think there's a limit on how many people that a country can sustain?
Yeah, there should be a limit. You can't just let everybody come over. There should be a limit.
To be overpopulated now, because then
there's not enough jobs, not enough homes for people to live, that means that creates more problems, such as homeless, maybe violent, who knows?
If you have a limit, though, you have to have a way to enforce that, right? So how would you guys enforce the limit?
I don't have an answer for that right now, to be honest with you. That's a good question right there that I can't answer.
Yeah, I don't think they're idiots. In fact, I think a few of them gave some nice, concise, but you want to be on the side of, I don't want to be a jerk and say we need to close everything up. But you go against what you just said there. Well, we should be for open borders, but with limits. Well, no, if you're going to be for it. And what do you say to taxpayers and people who've done it correctly? We should be for open borders, and we should really have no borders. Well, then why do I have to pay taxes to a country that no longer exists? Well, Chad, now you're being stupid. Am I? Or am I just throwing something out there? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. It is Chad Benson Show.
Plea deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
That is me, kids and kittens. Tonight, HBO debuts a documentary about Chernobyl. If you don't know what Chernobyl is, or you don't really remember it, let me Chad explain it to you.
Mansplaining.
It is a word that's used, patronising and condescending.
I respect our differences and your right to say it in the way you want.
White-splaining.
You got some splaining to do.
And Chad, you've got some Chad-splaining to do.
Yeah, Chad-splaining here. Chernobyl, the disaster that took place. It happened April 1986 when number 4 nuclear reactor in Chernobyl power plant actually melted down. The town that was next to it, everybody thinks it was Chernobyl. Chernobyl, did you see it? No, it was not. It was called Pripyat. It was in the northern part of the Soviet Ukraine. And what ended up taking place was it essentially melted down fast. They were doing some sort of testing. It went wrong quick. The next thing you know, boom, it was on and on fast. And it happened very fast. But remember, this is the Soviet Union. And during Soviet Union days, much of the world, did not know what happened. At 1:26 a.m., the fire alarm went off. 1:28, the arrival of local firefighters. Then more came 7 minutes later. Then another portion of them came just a little bit after that. Then it went to hell in a handbasket. By 2:30, the main reactor hall roof fires were suppressed, but you could tell it was going bad. Kiev firefighters arrived at 3:30 a.m. Most of the fires were then just located in a small area. And by 6:35, all of the fires had been extinguished, but it took days for the fire in Reactor 4 to go down. It was a meltdown of epic proportion, and lies were everywhere. The town was evacuated. 28 people died directly. 15 people died indirectly. According to many studies, other people were sick. We may never know the real accident toll. But it is interesting because we forget in this day and age of what that was like. And quite frankly, could it happen again? Not here and not many other places. But by the way, Chernobyl 4, the reactor there, there's plenty more of them still out there. And in this day and age when we're trying to saving every single thing, it's good to remember how good it is here and elsewhere and how bad their technology was. You've been Chad-splained. Chad-splaining. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. God, that was crazy. People just left. Their food on the table. They just took the 49,000 people, told them to get out. Facebook. Talk a little bit of that. Climate change, speaking of stuff like craziness in the atmosphere. We'll discuss that. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Each candidate has their favorite issue. You look at someone like New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, who's been talking a lot about criminal justice reform. Former Housing and Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro, who's been talking about immigration reform. There's Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who's made women's rights the centerpiece of her campaign. Washington Governor Jay Inslee is focused on climate change.
Climate change! The changing of climates! We are not long for this earth. It is all but over, according to the new UN report. And the only way to fix climate is to hand over all of your economy and money to the UN, and they will sort it out by taking it to the gods of climate and saying, here, take this from the westernized industrial nations and fix the problem. And maybe they will take the tithe, and maybe they will not. According to the latest, have you ever noticed that in any of these reports, there's never anything good that comes out of them? It's always, we're dead. Can't stop it. You're done. It's over. Can't stop it. It's too late. I mean, maybe you could stop it, but you'd have to do this. But you can't stop it. Nope, sorry, it's over. It's done. Everything that you've ever seen in the entire history of the world is nearly going extinct. Just can't stop it. And I thought to myself, really? There's nothing we can do, ever. Look, and I'm not one of these people that thinks, you're just a science nerd. No, I've said it over and over again. We play a part because we're here. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. To what extent and how we go about fixing the problem, we can differ on. But I always laugh because it's never anything other than doom and gloom. Because doom and gloom sells. If it bleeds, it leads. And that's what this is. According to this, humans are transforming Earth's natural landscape so dramatically that as many as 1 million plant and animal species are now at risk of extinction, posing a dire threat to the ecosystem that people all over the world depend on for their very survival. So, some of the stuff they say, logging, poaching, fishing, mining, are huge issues. Farming. Stop farming, but then we need to eat. Well, what do? We can hope. We can become aeritarians. Yeah, there are real people out there who think that that's what they do. Aeritarians. They smell and wear patchouli to hide the fact that they smell. Logging? We do log. But loggers tend to like to build their stuff back up, so they tend to like to plant. Long gone are the days where they just chop things down, because guess what happens? Eventually they know you're going to run out of resources. Poaching, that's a real issue. That's a real issue. Fishing, we've overfished. Also a real issue. And the way that we've overfished and what we've overfished for, like shark fin soup, a real issue. Mining, we do that. We mine. Are we better at some of these things than we were a long time ago? Absolutely. But we never get any of that. It's always doom and gloom. The world's over. Can't stop it. Well, what about... And when you hear the 12-year thing, and people always bring that up, they'll say, AOC said 12 years. 12 years is supposedly when we get to the point where it's too late to stop the cataclysmic event that's going to happen of our downfall and eventually our elimination from this planet and extinction. Not that we're going to disappear in 12 years. That's when we get to the point where if we don't do something, it's too late after that. It's always a sales job, and you sell the doom and gloom. Right? You sell the doom and gloom. And that's all it's ever is. It's never anything other than that. It's never like, no, it's getting a little bit better here and there. We need to clean it up over there. We need to do this over here. We need to do this. Humans are producing more food than ever, but land degradation is already harming agriculture productivity on 23% of the planet's area. Here's a question, right? Because I talked to a few Congress people, and we were talking about this the other day. They've got some new things that are about to happen when it comes to farming and when it comes to science, putting them together, where essentially you could take what would take a massive area to farm. You could do it in little itty-bitty areas, but it would be genetically modified. GMO. But it would also help the environment. Oh, no, I'm caught between two minds. Oh, yeah, what do you do? But it's never anything other than that. And it's always been. When I was a kid growing up, it was the Great Ice Age. It was the ozone layer, right? And then the ozone layer seemed to have fixed itself. It's all of this craziness. But it never, ever seems to ever get better. And I'm just curious about that. And when you've got the UN, who have on numerous occasions have said what they would like to do is this is about social justice and transforming economies, that scares me. Because that feels like you're using fear, which you are, as a grab for stuff. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Somebody sent me something the other day. Hey, Chad, you don't believe it? I said, didn't say. See, this is where you get. You just say something. You don't believe. Well, you like lizards. The Komodo dragon's one of the most, close to being extinct animal on the earth. What do you think about that? I don't like it. But then I also realized that here's my mindset in something like this. It's only ever been on 3 islands. They didn't walk. They weren't like, hey, man, did you see the giant Komodo in Santa Barbara? Now they're extinct. No, they've only ever been on 3 islands. There's about 5,000 of them in the wild. That's kind of all that's ever been there. So they were always going to be extinct because there's just not a lot of them. There never was a lot of them. They're near that kind of level of extinction. But then you say that, well, you've got an answer for everything. It's like you don't want to hear the truth. Look, we need to do better for our globe, for our economies. We need to watch out. How do we balance that act? We talked about it before, man. You want electric cars. They sound great. But those batteries, what do you think happens to those batteries when they're done? How do you think you build those things? And, oh, by the way, where do you think electricity comes from? Because we still don't have an electricity lightning bolt catching machine. It comes from coal, right? It's completely... so much of the other stuff is completely undependable. So how do we get there? How about we work together to find a solution rather than always do what we do, which is you're anti this or you're anti that, and then you label somebody, and then you fight, and then nobody wants to have a conversation. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us.
I'm troubled by the fact that Facebook can't articulate a clear standard by which it decides who gets to stay and who gets to go. They're a private company. Obviously, they can do what they want to a certain extent. If they don't want to be considered publishers, like CNN is a publisher or like my site, Daily Wire, is a publisher, then that means that there has to be some sort of objective metric that can be used to determine whether someone gets kicked off or gets to stay on. A problem that I have here is I don't see any articulatable standard for what exactly they're doing. And
that is what a lot of people on the right, everybody jumps, oh, you guys you're upset by these crazy loons that are thrown off, and that's because you're part of the problem, and they can do what they want. I've never said they couldn't do what they want. I think for a lot of people, what they want is just give everybody a standard, right? Like, this is it. This is the standard, and then we're all going to go by the standard, right? If you're on the right, you go by the standard. If you're on the left, you go by the standard. When it comes to people being banned, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, Instagram, what is the standard that you're using? Because if it's very arbitrary, that's not a good thing. And that is frustrating for a lot of people. And the people I talk on the right, some of which who have paid the price, who've been suspended and or kicked off some of these platforms, all they want to know is, what did I do so I know not to do it again? And they never get a real answer. And why is it okay one day and then 6 months later, it's not okay? It's frustrating.
In my view, Facebook would be best served if they simply held to a basic First Amendment standard, which is threats of violence, actual clear incitement to violence, not sort of the broad definition that's now being bandied about, but an actual clear definition. That sort of stuff would be banned. A copyright violation would be banned. That sort of stuff makes sense. But the idea that you can police hate, just qua hate, that anything that you find hateful, that's a pretty broad definition considering how much we argue over what is considered hateful and how much political speech ought to be included in that rubric.
Yeah. Look at him with his big brain. Old Ben Shapiro there. That rubric. Look at that, sir. Rubric. But he's right. Somebody asked me last week when we were talking about this, because I said I think we will rue the day that a lot of people who, while not agreeing with the likes of a lot of these people that were kicked off, if you're not advocating violence, then we should be sticking up for your First Amendment rights. We should absolutely be doing that. And everybody always, and here's something that I try to explain to people. They say, well, then why don't you guys invent an alternative? I said, here's the problem with that. Silicon Valley is so entrenched in any of this stuff. Let's say you go out and you invent an alternative. Well, then that thing's going to be labeled as a right-wing hate thing. You get the Southern Poverty Law Center because you're allowing people to have free speech. Secondly, what they do is they go and demonetize you. They make sure that you can never receive payments or get anything on there whatsoever when it comes to actually making money. And in doing so, at that point in time, there's the frustration. A lot of people, the PayPals come out, all of these companies come out and they say, no, we want no part of any of this stuff. It's frustrating. And then it goes back to we're still allowing people arbitrarily to decide not only what is hate speech, but what is speech they deem to be violence. And that is not a good situation.
The question is, how is organized hate defined and who gets to decide?
That really is the question. Milo Yiannopoulos had interacted with Gavin McInnes. Well, Gavin McInnes used to appear on Fox News. Is Fox News now going to be banned? Also, Louis Farrakhan was banned from Facebook, presumably for engaging in exactly this kind of hate. Well, Snoop Dogg then went on Instagram and released a video. Instagram is owned by Facebook. Snoop Dogg released a video calling for people to actively post video of Louis Farrakhan, whom he called a brother and a man of truth. Can he be banned now? I mean, how is this going to work?
Yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. I think that's all people want is just, it's like sports. Just call it the same way. If you're going to do it for this side, then do it for this side. If you're going to do it for that side, then make sure you do it over here for the. But if you're just going to go, yeah, we're going to call the game kind of loosey-goosey, it's like basketball. Like one team will go to the free throw line 42 times, the other team goes 4, and you ask yourself, that doesn't seem right. That's the issue that people have. Just some transparency. That's it. Even if you came out and said, we hate Republicans, we hate anything conservative, we want to get rid of it off our platform, then at least say that. But don't play the game, which is what a lot of people feel like that's going on, is you're playing some weird game and you're saying, well, you didn't do the things you were supposed to do, and therefore you impeded yourself on our standards, and you stomped all over the standards that we have set up. Well, what did I do wrong? I can't tell you. Why? Because I can't tell you. Right? This is like a referee. It's like, ref, what did I do? Well, you hit his arm. What if you did that? It's like, ref, what did I do? I can't tell you. What? Could you imagine doing a homework paper or test and you go, okay, I screwed up. What did I do wrong? Can't tell you. Why? Because? Could you imagine if your teacher was arbitrary in the way that they assigned grades as far as, certain things? It's like, I know you put 2 + 2 is 4, and that was right, Jimmy, but I'm going to say no. What did I do wrong? Can't tell you. But he put 2 + 2, and he got it right. Yeah, maybe he did. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. AMAC, great company, good organization to work with, take care of people. You know what they're doing right now? They're out there advocating on your behalf for things like really looking at Social Security and how they can help it so it doesn't fall apart and run out of money in 5 or 10 years, right? And on top of that, when they do manage to go out there and keep it alive and keep it robust and keep it full of money, that they don't do it by adding more taxes. They've actually submitted recommendations to the Social Security Subcommittee of the House and Ways and Means Committee. They're out there fighting for you. Common sense immigration reform. On top of that, they got tons of benefits, retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, so many discounts, so many ways to help you, competitively priced insurance. Yeah, they're doing it right, and they're helping you with things like that. And they're giving you benefits. They're incredible. So incredible. You guys, my listeners, can join for free right now. It's simple and easy. Go to amac.us/chat or call 888-355-1617. That's 888-355-1617. It's a 1-year membership. They don't want your credit card. They want to show you what they can do for you, whether they're politically advocating for you or whether they're giving you all the benefits and then some that you were so surprised you get. It's a 1-year free membership. amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1617. It's AMAC at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, ChadBenson. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what?
42,000
Running the London Marathon in a costume is a thing. This guy dressed up like a car.
Well, I'm doing the official Guinness World Record attempt for the fastest marathon dressed as a car.
In that same crowd, Jessica Anderson was dressed like a nurse. She is one. She wore her scrubs. And she broke the world record for a runner in a nurse's uniform by 32 seconds. But Guinness told her she won't get the record because she wasn't wearing a dress or skirt. Anderson is urging Guinness to revise their criteria instead of enforcing old gender stereotypes. Guinness says it will conduct a review.
First world problem. So she's pissed because she wanted to be the fastest nurse ever at the London Marathon, but she ran in scrubs. And she go, oh, we want her to review it. And I'm thinking to myself, no, you can't review it. You can be the fastest nurse in scrubs. But what you can't be is the original fastest nurse, because is it fair that they ran in something that, quite frankly, was a little bit more cumbersome? Because they ran in the full outfit, right? It's supposed to be like this gray-blue outfit. I think it's just so bizarre. What is, like, the stuff that people want to be in the Guinness for? You can make something up and just like, I want to be in the Guinness, and here we go. And then away it goes. And you're like, oh, you can just make that up. Yeah. It used to be like, oh, who's the tallest person? Who's the fattest person? Who's the shortest person? Who's the strongest person? Right? Who holds the record for most number ones consecutively for blah, 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 blah. Now it's just like, I want to be the fastest nurse in the history of nurses in the London Marathon. You're like, oh, that sounds good. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Tiger Woods, kids, Tiger Woods. All right, you ready for this? Yeah, Medal of Freedom today, right? Like, he got the medal, the biggest medal that you can get as a civilian, was at the White House today.
It's probably the highlight of what I've accomplished so far in my life on the golf course. To have had that type of experience and to be able to come out on top and win.
Yeah, people say, well, why did he get it? I think, Donald Trump said this, and I will say, I told Phil, this is kind of the reality of what he did.
Tiger introduced countless new people to the sport of golf from every background and from every walk of life.
Yeah, he did. He introduced a lot of people who would never have gotten into golf. And you know what else he did? He introduced a lot of people that were really good and at times great athletes, and they chose golf. But the inner city, people of color, saw somebody competing at the highest level and destroying competition. So I can see why he got it. You may not like him because of all the stuff with his wife and whatnot, but on the sports side of things, he did a hell of a lot. But he is Trump's pal, kind of. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love hearing from you. Check out the old podcast there. Where available, grab it at thechadshow.com. Get your link right there. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Wow. Low unemployment, high jobs, high wages, big consumer confidence, major productivity, and no inflation. It's totally awesome. We're killing it on the economy.
It's totally on fleek. Larry Kudlow. That'd have been awesome. Just up for the millennials. We're on point. What do you guys think of those apples? We're on point. He's talking about the economy, which is the best friend to the president. Numbers of handling the economy are pretty damn good. And the reality is what's going to stop him potentially is a bad economy. You could talk about nobody likes him because he's a jerk. And? Is he good at what he does when it comes to the economy? Because that's what you're going to be judged on. Every president's going to be judged on unless there's a major war, you're going to be judged on the economy. The average person's paying attention to that. That's just it. He could change today. He could go, I am done being mean. I want to be friendly. I want to be PC. I want to embrace all of the things that the left likes. And you know what? The left isn't going to buy it, and the right's going to end up hating him. Doesn't matter. You can say, well, he should be in the 60s. No, not anymore. We don't live in a world where that happens. Right? Mid-50s, maybe, at best. And usually that's going to be on a singular thing. It's not going to be on a bunch of stuff overall. And it is a popularity contest. Could he be more popular if he was kinder and nicer? No. Nobody in their right mind, because we don't even live in a world where we forgive each other. Take away the presidency, right? Take away the presidency and who he is. Look at the world we live in now, where you said something 8, 10, 12 years ago, you may even be woke as far as the progressives and left are concerned. Then they find a tweet that you did or a bit in comedy you did, and the next thing you know, you're in trouble. You're not woke anymore. They're not going to forgive you. Why would you think they're going to forgive him? They're just not. His best thing is rock and roll this economy, continue to do the things that you're doing, celebrate the economy maybe a little bit more, but you're going to push the buttons. You're going to continue to do the things that you're going to do. The left is going to continue. The media is going to continue. All of them are going to continue to come after you for that. But you changing is only going to hurt you with your base, nobody else.
If we are a year from right now in exactly the same spot economically where we are today, I don't think the Democrats have hope. I think that, in the end, that's the way people vote in these elections.
Yeah, that's it. That's what happens. That's what happens. We'll go, I don't like the way he says these things. He's a jerk. And I don't like the way he treats his wife, and he's a jerk. And I don't like the way that he said the thing he said back in the tape, and he was a horrible person. And I don't like any of these things. But the economy's pretty good. So I'm not going to get rid of him because we're tough to change. And you're not trying to change that 40% on the left, the 40% on the right anymore, because that's the tribalism that's built into the numbers now. That's all baked in. Now what you're trying to do is persuade that other 20% that will vote to come over and vote for you, right? 10 to 15% that are knowledgeable and have an understanding, and the other 5 or so or 10% that are just like, well, I don't really care. That's what you're trying to do. That's what you're trying to do. How do I get those people in certain specific areas of the country on my side? That's it. How do I do it? Because if you're saying, I'm talking to my base hates him, they are always going to hate him. So that doesn't mean anything. It's those other people that are quiet, that are sitting there listening. They're looking at their 401k. They're looking at their retirement. They're looking at the business that they own or the business they work at. They're seeing the fact that it's staying steady and there is growth. They're seeing a little bit more money back in their paycheck, right? They're seeing all of these things and they're saying to themselves, do I really want to upset the apple cart? Because this isn't like if it doesn't go well for 4 months, we can get rid of you. This is potentially 4 years, and if it starts to go south and hell in a handbasket, we had a good thing going. I'm going to kick myself there. Oh, yeah, I'm going to kick myself, so I don't want to do that.
How do you make a pitch to voters? The economy's thriving. Let's get rid of the president.
You don't need to make a pitch. Listen to voters. When we walk around my block, you ask people if the numbers that Donald Trump touts are really making a difference in their lives. You have people on my block. I'm the only presidential candidate that lives in a low-income inner-city neighborhood. Talk to folks, and they'll tell you, I have to work 2 jobs just to try to keep myself in housing. Americans are struggling.
No, you're telling them that. Well, they got to work 2 jobs. Why do they have to work 2 jobs? Is that Trump's fault? Is that Obama's fault? Is that Bush's fault? Why? Sometimes it's their fault. Let's be real. Let's be honest. We don't want to say that. Secondly, let's just say the economy went to hell in a handbasket. Right? Let's just say, would it be worse? No, it's not working. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Only the rich are getting richer. Nobody got any money back from the taxes. Nope. Only the rich white people did. Even rich black people are like, you guys can't have this. You know that.
What do you say to somebody who says, yeah, I'm not crazy about Trump, but the economy has done so much better, and Republicans keep telling me the Democratic nominee is going to raise my taxes, and he is talking about raising taxes, so that might hurt the economy, that might hurt my bottom line. What's the counter-argument to that?
Look, I think that we live in a nation with far more patriotism than people are expressing, and what I mean by that is folks want the best for their country. We've got to make sure that this is a shared recovery, because right now it definitely is not.
It's not? You're not sharing? What you don't see are things that happen. The fact that your business is expanding. The fact that everybody thinks, so like, okay, well, the recovery's there, so everybody give me my recovery money. No, the fact that you're working more hours. The fact that there's opportunity for you to go across the street and get an extra $1 an hour is there. The fact that we have more jobs than we have unemployed is there. Now, again, those numbers are always skewed, right? It was with Obama. It is with Bush. It was with Trump. You know, what are the real numbers? Well, it's at 3.9%. I'd say it's probably about 6%. Maybe 5%. Pretty damn good, though. And there's a ton of jobs out there. It's tough. You're trying to create, Cory Booker and so many other ones are trying to create a story that you didn't get anything from this, right? You had Joe Biden go out and go, nobody got money but the top 1%. And then even the Washington Post is like, you're going to get a bunch of Pinocchios for that. That's not really the truth. Well, they just, what? Tell me. Well, call them on it. It's sad that and this is the sad thing, right? I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. It's sad that we hope the other side fails so the economy takes a dumper so your side can win. That's the reality of it, right? Bill Maher a few months ago says, well, the best thing is that the economy goes into a major recession so we can get him out of here. And the thought process is you want to lose so bad so your side can win. You don't care if people suffer. You don't care if people struggle even more. Your goal is, I want them to lose so bad, and that's because you live in this weird, wacky world that, we don't look good, right? We're an embarrassment to the globe. Let me ask you a question. How many of you out there really wake up and go, God, I wonder what Zaire thinks of us? None of you. None of you do. Let's be real. But you care about, is my paycheck a little bit better? Do I have security too? That's also the other thing. Just because your paycheck hasn't gone up by 20 or 30%, there is also a sense of, is my job safe? That we never read into these things. Who knows where it'll be in a year? Could go, right? Or it may stay steady. But in the end, this is the decider right here. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us too. Love hearing from you. Chris Wallace and Pompeo talking about their elections.
The Mueller report, and as for the Kremlin, it said this: the Russian government interfered in the 2016 presidential election in sweeping and systematic fashion. But here's how President Trump described his talk with Putin on Friday about 2016 and about possible meddling in 2020.
He actually sort of smiled when he said something to the effect that it started off as a mountain and it ended up being a mouse.
Did you ask him not to meddle in the next election?
We didn't discuss that.
What? No, that's all you should have talked about. Zero. Period. Case closed. That's all you should talk about. Let me tell you who's going to meddle in the next elections. Everybody who possibly can. China, North Korea, potentially Israel. Right? Oh, and for sure Russia. Let me tell you who we're going to interfere with if we can. We're going to interfere with Russia if we possibly can. We'll interfere a little bit with Venezuela if we possibly can. We're going to interfere with North Korea and China. We're going to do all of that because that's what we do to each other. And that's what we've done for years. Guess who's going to spy on us? All of them, plus the British, plus the Germans. Guess who we're going to spy on? All of them. This is the game that we play. That's it. This is the game that we play. You know what? I was talking this week. You know my biggest, when it comes to all of this meddling, all of this stuff is, you know what scares me more than other countries doing it is people believe 99% of the crap they see in front of them without doing any kind of due diligence whatsoever. They believe it. That's scarier than the actual meddling. But we don't talk about that. Right? We don't talk about maybe taking a little personal responsibility when somebody puts something up and we're like, oh, I believe that meme to be absolutely true. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Oh, folks, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you guys have heard, but you guys can all sleep well knowing
they've done it their way. Harry and Meghan, a low-key approach for the seventh in line to the throne. So, in a sense, the pressure's off compared to William and Kate's children. Royal commentator Alistair Bruce.
They have been able to choose their own way of doing this, the time they wanted, and the palace will be working hard to make sure that they can provide all the support structure that is required.
Prince Harry, the palace says, is by Meghan's side.
Yep, by Meghan's side, because this has happened as he came out today to announce this.
Want to share with us in the world? Yes, I'm very excited to announce that Meghan and myself have a baby boy.
A baby boy! Isn't it weird when you hear the royals talk? You're like, oh, right. I thought you'd have a cool accent. Yes, I'd like to tell everybody today that we've had a baby boy. You're like, I'd like to have we had a baby boy. It's all right. Don't know its name yet. We're going with Henry, right? I think that's what the Chad Benson Show has decided. Right? We're going to go. We've got a Charlotte. We've got a George. Right? That are out there right now. I think we got another one, too. I said Luke and Laura earlier, which is who I thought Kate Middleton and Prince William was. I'm like, who the hell was it? Luke and Laura? For you General Hospital fans. But I'm going with Henry. That's a good name right there. Henry. All right, Henry, you're right. Now, we're not quite sure if he's going to be a Duke or not, but Henry, that's what we're going with. They'll probably announce it the next couple days. Henry. What if it's Tom or Tim? Can't be Duke Tim. That just sounds awful. 323-538-2423. And the Queen gets to decide if the child gets a title, which she probably will. You're not going to have all of them running around, right? Plus, in fairness, she's going to let them kind of decide if they want the kid to have a title, but she wouldn't say no, but she loves Harry the best. She does. She loves Harry the best because Harry's fun. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, MyPillow, Giza Sheets. Man, I slept in my Giza Sheets this weekend. Oh, what are you waiting for, people? You could literally take the sheets, throw them on your couch, and you're going to sleep like a baby. It is so amazing. When you have nice things, you ever notice that when you get something that's nice, a watch, whatever it is, a new shirt, it's a new car, like the upgrade is just like, should I get this? And you're like, yeah, that's what these are. Totally affordable. They're called Giza Sheets. They're cotton, special area that's grown in, Mediterranean, small little area. You are going to feel and sleep on a difference that is just so amazing. 100% machine washable and dryable cotton. Get your Giza cotton sheets today. Call 800-983-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Or call 800-983-4975. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
They launched short-range projectiles. They ended up in the waters off of North Korea. This was clearly more of a provocation, a mild provocation, if you will, but the message seemed to be pretty clear.
Yeah, what did we talk about last week? I said, look, they had a really horrible harvest. They've had bad droughts, things, and he feels neglected. Right, and then he's been over to Russia, and Russia's whispering in his ear. Did you hear what Trump called you? Did you hear what because they want to stir something up. That's a bigger issue than whether or not they try to do things to our elections. Yeah, that's an issue we need to talk about. But this is like real issues, and I said he's going to do something, and within a few hours he did something because his whole thing is, I want to let everybody know I'm still here. Here's my saber. I'm going to rattle it.
What North Korea is trying to say is, hey, look, I've waited long enough. I want sanctions relief. That's why the Hanoi summit ended in February. And then the Trump administration has been standing firm on sanctions relief, that they are not going to pull away some of the very tough sanctions they already have in place.
Yeah, because he knows it's going to be a tough year. They're saying about 11 ounces a day is what the average North Korean is going to have to live off of. So think about that for a second. Socialism, kids, it's what's not for dinner. But it's ugly. And he is feeling the pinch. Now, the Chinese will help out because that's what the Chinese do, right? The Russians will do a little something. Iran may do a little something, but we're not quite sure what exactly Iran's going to do. But those three will do what they can. But the reality is he's upset. And I said he was going to saber rattle. That's what he likes doing. He needs something. He needs a little something. And usually before, what would happen? Leaders before Trump would do what? They would placate him and they'd give him a little something and then he'd be on his way and they'd get just enough by his father, grandfather, and then they would do it again when it started to get ugly. We'll see what takes place. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Florida's doing something interesting with health care. Something happened in Philadelphia that very few even talked about, and I find that even more disturbing. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I hope that when I rejoin my family and friends, that the country will be in a place without xenophobia, injustice, and lies at the helm of our country.
That right there was a guy named Michael Cohen. He was the man. Remember that? And he was going to take down Trump. Mueller was going to take down Trump. Everybody's taking down Trump. Everybody's going to trip him up. He's on his way to the end zone. They're all going to trip him up. They're going to trip him up. Chad, they come. They're going to trip him up. The tape was going to take down Trump. Cohen was it. He was the fixer. I always said Cohen was the fixer for all the things that, like, hey, I'm going to go out with this girl. Don't tell my wife. And if it gets in the papers, fix it. Not like, hey, we got a big deal. We want you to be involved with it because you're super smart. No, you're skeezy, and I need somebody skeezy to do skeezy things.
There still remains much to be told. And I look forward to the day that I can share the truth.
You got nothing. Because if you had something, you wouldn't be wandering into jail, Michael Cohen. So where is he going? He's going to a place, get ready for this. This place is a very interesting place. They call it the Jewish Heaven. It's Oatsville, federal, like kind of a minimum security place. But it's very interesting. They said, yes, he's going to what I like to refer to as Jewish Heaven. Larry Levin, founder of Wall Street Prison Consultants, served 10 years sentencing for racketeering and other crimes. He's going to first get in there. He will go basically to the doctors. He's going to undergo a medical and then a mental health screening. He'll be assigned a job such as mowing the grounds, emptying the garbage, and cleaning up the visiting room, something like that. He's going to have dorm-like accommodations at the camp. And they've got kosher food. Forbes described Otisville as one of America's cushiest prisons. But it's not club fed, they said. But it's you're working when you're in there. You're working in there. Some of the people that are in there with him. The Fire Festival fraudster Billy McFarland. He's doing 6 years. How about this? Mike the Situation's in there. He's doing 8 months for tax fraud. So, and you got Cohen. So there's where he's headed, and he's got nothing. Just to say, wait till I can tell the truth. You got nothing to say. Period. There's just nothing for you to say. Nothing. Zero zilch. If you had something real, you'd have said it. You got nothing. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So I saw this the other day, and I thought, this has to be baloney. This cannot be true. This has to be baloney. It can't be true what took place at a Philadelphia mosque. No way this can be true. So I looked around, and there was a few places reporting it, and I'm like, this is, no. Why is this not being talked about? That scares me as much as what the kids were doing.
Well, here's an amazing story for you. The Muslim American Society is investigating an oversight after a shocking video surfaces showing children in Philadelphia at an Islamic center chanting violent phrases. Clearly, the one little girl saying, "We will chop off their heads." I mean, but is this oversight? I mean, you look at the age of the children involved in this video, their young age. I mean, what could you call this if you don't call it indoctrination?
Yeah. Is there oversight? It was just oversight, right? It was just, sorry about that. Yeah, some of the stuff they were chanting. The land of the Prophet Muhammad's night journey is calling on us. Our Palestinians must return to us. One girl talked about martyrs sacrificing their lives without hesitation to conquer Jerusalem. I went to church yesterday. At no point did I say, hey, are the kids learning any of the good stuff, like how to sacrifice? Chad, come on. You don't understand this. Some of the other stuff. We will defend the land of divine guidance with our bodies. We will sacrifice our souls without hesitation. We will chop off their heads. We will liberate the sorrowful and exalt Allah Ask Mosque. We will lead the army of Allah, fulfilling his promise, and I will subject them to eternal torture. Nobody covered it. Nobody did. Because it's not politically correct to cover something like that, right? There's a political correctness that goes along in situations like this. And you're not going to do that because of fear of all the things that happen in Christchurch and the whole 9 yards. You won't cover stuff like this. It should have been talked about. Somebody should have said, did you see what they did at the mosque? And look, that's indoctrination. Little children aren't waking up going, hey, you know what, Mom and Dad? I love the fact that I'm a big Eagle fan, but I really hate infidels. It's not. That's being put in. And this is happening. If this happened in a church, if you watch Joel Osteen and he's like, hey, I got a great little thing that we're doing. We're going to bring kids onto stage and they're going to sing songs about, Chad, come on now. Christianity has dominated the world and there's just, it's still the dominant, it's not the dominant force. And there's a lot of things out there that are happening in the world of Christianity that should be talked about, but aren't, because it's okay to hate Christians. But if you try and say, we got issues in other places, you can't do that, because then you're what? You're a xenophobe, you're Islamophobe, you're a phobe, and that's not right.
Britain says Christianity risks being wiped out from parts of the Middle East as thousands of people are killed or forced to flee. British Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt blames political correctness for failure to tackle the problem. The report notes Christians are the most persecuted group in the world and says that in some regions the level of persecution is coming close to meeting international definitions of genocide adopted by the UN. In the Palestinian territories, Christians now form just 1.5% of the population, while in Iraq they have dropped by 92%. Pope Francis has often spoken out against the persecution of Christians in recent years. Megan Williams, ABC News, Rome.
Yeah, it's you hear something like that and you're like, oh, but you can't talk about it because politically it's not correct. And then if you do, you get Ilhan Omar and Tlaib and everybody else come out and say, oh, you're a racist for even bringing that up. And the people, no, we should have questions. You have a mosque in America that is indoctrinating children, where kids as young as 5, 6, and 7 are talking about killing infidels and chopping off their heads and that they're going to be tortured for eternity. And we're not raising any kind of question. I think we should raise some questions here to see what kind of answer we're going to get, other than it was an oversight. Really?
Oversight and not properly vetted. What do you think about this?
To be fair, the Muslim American Society has made a statement that they had rented out space to another group. It wasn't representative of the society, and now they're looking into who the decision makers were, and they are even firing the chapter leaders. So I think this has come as a shock to them. Mm-hmm. But to me, as a Muslim in America, this is devastating, and this is exactly the kind of indoctrination of children that promotes and leads to the success of Islamist movements like Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas.
Yeah, which, by the way, Hamas, very busy, right? Very, 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 very busy. And here's the other thing. Taxpayer money goes in to things like this, which makes people uncomfortable. Yeah, I would say so. Absolutely. And look, do I think Islam is this? No, not modern Islam. Just like modern Christianity has changed in ways that, well, you go back and you read the Bible, there's a lot of things in there. You go, right? But this right here, are you kidding me? And again, one of my other big issues was the fact that nobody talked about this. Nobody wanted to report on this. It was as if it didn't happen. And I can guarantee you that if it was a bunch of little white kids singing songs about killing blacks or Jews or whatever, it had been everywhere. That's the frustration I see with a lot of people out there.
In that video, there's clearly an adult woman on a cell phone while the children are performing. There's an adult filming.
Clearly the one little girl saying, "We will chop off their heads." I mean,
it's absolutely anathema to Islam, and many Muslims have written to me on social media aghast at this because this is completely not what Islam teaches. Islam sees Christians and Jews as legitimate believers who are a party to paradise, who have a true message from God, and they are our brethren. We cannot be Muslim unless we believe in the Bible and the Torah.
There's just nobody, because it's uncomfortable, right? It's the end. You know what needs to be looked at more is the politics of science and reporting of uncomfortability, because nobody wants to be uncomfortable anymore reporting something that at times should report. It's not just this. There's so many other things. It's more about being a virtue signaler. Was I on the right side of virtue signaling or ignoring something? And that's a very frustrating thing, I think, for a lot of people. It's like with the Facebook bans and all of these things. It's virtue signaling. It's virtue signaling. It's oh yeah, we got rid of this person because of that, and or whatever it is, right? Whether it's transgender issues or whether it's whatever, doesn't matter. It's about this. I can ignore some of the things. I can virtue signal, even if there's data that backs up something else in somebody else's world, and you can come out and say, here's the data. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And that is frustrating. It is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. My buddy just posted a picture. He says, oh, I love their socialized medicine. He's in Spain, and he's talking about stuff that we couldn't get done here because there's just too many lobbyists and craziness that goes on in this world of healthcare. But Florida's doing something I find to be very interesting. They are essentially abolishing a certificate of need law. Now, what we don't realize, because we're not told this, and this was sold to people in Florida in the 70s, that this thing is going to be great. It's going to drive healthcare prices down. It's going to do all of this stuff. It's going to limit unnecessary capital expenditures, and it's going to do all of these great things, and everybody's going to have better healthcare. And what it did was the exact opposite. So it's a certification of need essentially is, if you want to put up a hospital, a doctor's office, any of these things, the existing hospitals can fight against you because you're competition, and they could say, we don't need another one of you here because we already have one of those. So you coming here is not good. And you see it across the country. And we've talked about all kinds of things. One of these things, I think it's in Iowa. Where you've got, this is what's great. It's a certification of need law in Iowa that has created basically anti-competitiveness. You've got an eye doctor in Iowa who's been waiting for years. Why? Because he has built one of the most incredible eye care facilities, except for one thing. The hospital close to him has blocked his application, saying there's no need for what he has. And they've decided, you know what? This hasn't worked. So we're going to get rid of this certification of need. Another one of these things, when we talk about what is the stuff that's going to help us with healthcare, competition is one. But imagine if you have one place, and this is what we talk about with why people go to places like the state capitol or why people go to the capitol to say we need more regulation. More often than not, it's big business. And what do they want? They're ones who are already set up with the first mover advantage, and they want it to make it harder for everybody else to come into the marketplace, because in doing so, it chokes off competition. And the last thing a lot of people want is what? Competition. Certification of need. That's insane. That's because I'm sure, you know what? I'm sure McDonald's would love to have a certification of need to make sure that you couldn't put up any other fast food restaurant, no matter what it is, whether it's Taco Bell, Del Taco, your local place, because there's no need for that because we already serve things that people eat. Stupid. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. We've got a royal baby being born. What is the name? I got your useless fact today. Straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
It was amazing, absolutely incredible. And as I said, I'm so incredibly proud of my wife. And as every father and parent would ever say, you know, your baby is absolutely amazing, but this little thing is absolutely to die for, so I'm just over the moon.
Oh, he's over the moon. That right there. Prince Harry is going to love him like it's its own. Chad. So, Royal Baby Watch. It's just, you know, she had her baby today. Oh, but watching the news cover it, and I think to myself, we don't have that here, right? I can't even remember. When's the last time we had a baby born into the White House? Right? Obviously, Trump's kid's 13 or 14 barren. That's youngish, right? Chelsea was about the same age when they entered the White House, right? Maybe a little bit younger. I can't remember. The Bush's kids were off to near about college. Same thing with Obama's kids. They were what, middle school? I'm just trying to think. What's the last baby we had born in the White House? Would that be huge? Baby watch. Wow, that's nuts. That's bad, but yes. So my money for baby's name, which we'll find out in a few days, is Henry. Right? I've looked, and we were trying to figure out. This baby, I think, is 7th or 8th in line, so it'd have to be really, really like crazy for this child to ever get anywhere near being king of England. Because you've got Prince Charles, right? Like he's at the top, right? When mom eventually passes or decides that she's going to pass on. Then from there, you have got William, I think is 3rd now in line. Then you have Andrew, who is actually Prince Charles's brother. Then you have Edward, which people don't even know who Edward is. His wife, Sophie Rees-Jones, used to be my publicist. She looks just like Princess Di. When I was in England, she worked for our station and stuff. She was crazy. I was going to let you guys know that. And then you've got the kids. So this one's like 7th or 8th in line. It's never going to get there. Still not a bad gig if you can get it, right? Right? Mom and dad are good-looking people. There's a chance you're doing all right. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love hearing from each and every one of you. Of course, this weekend was the usual craziness. Let's have a little bit of fun. With Steve Cohen. He is the guy who was finger licking good. And I saw so many people, even he's the guy who had the chicken the other day, right? He had all the Kentucky Fried. I saw more people this weekend attack him about the whole Barr thing and him not testifying. And by the way, Mueller's supposed to testify on the 15th. But it's so funny because they're clamoring for all of, like, we need to shut him down. We need to do all of these kind of things. We need to impeach him. We need to do all this stuff. Maybe take a different way.
As far as the president, if we can't impeach him, because I don't think the Senate would impeach him if he shot the person on Fifth Avenue, we could censure him. And a censure in the House, which we can do without the Senate, would at least have us go on record as admonishing him for illegal conduct.
Yeah. You lost any credibility when you did your little prop. Not only did you have the chicken, most people didn't see you brought a rubber chicken out there as well. Just so insane. That's what our politics is. When you talk about, well, we're really embarrassing in front of the rest of the world, think about that. You've got a person who brings a bucket of chicken, says bok, 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 and then puts a rubber chicken in where bar's supposed to be. Yeah. I think a lot of it's embarrassing. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. Here's your useless fact today. Back to the Royals. Henry VIII had 6 wives, right? We know about that. 2 of them, well, they died by losing their head. 1 just died. 1 was annulled, and 1 actually outlived him. Here's your useless fact today. Have a blessed rest of your day. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.